Während man jedes einzelne Mal, wenn man auf Rebirth Island landet, eine Sniper findet, gibt es Sachen, die in Warzone einen Schnuff seltener sind. Willkommen zurück zu einem weiteren Video auf einem Zweitkanal. Wir reagieren heute auf die seltensten Items der Warzone-Geschichte. Ich bin schon sehr gespannt, das ist mal wieder ein Video von dem guten Ordinary Plays. Wir wissen ja, der macht unfassbar kranke Videos. Ich werde euch das Originalvideo natürlich unten in der Infobox verlinken. Lasst jetzt schon mal gerne ein Like auf dem Video und ein Abo auf dem Kanal da. Und ich würde sagen, wir gehen direkt rein. Ich bin nämlich schon sehr gespannt. Ich kann mir gar nicht vorstellen, was er uns jetzt zeigen will für Items. Muss ich ehrlich zugeben. Ich kann es mir noch gar nicht vorstellen. Aber ich bin sehr gespannt. Let's go.
RNG is something that's a little bit lacking in Warzone when compared to other battle royales. Your loadout gun is always going to be better than any ground loot gun, no matter the rarity. However, there are a handful of guns and items that are exclusive to ground loot and are extremely rare. So today I want to share with you the rarest items in Warzone history. The only criteria I have for this is it has to be something that you can equip, use, or stow in your inventory. I'm also not going to include LTM. That being said, there's going to be no camo, operator, charm, or any cosmetic from the store that will be on this list. Go ahead and comment the rarest item you found in Warzone.
Grenade Launcher. Ich schwöre, den gibt es heutzutage relativ häufig, aber damals gab es den nie. Also damals war das wirklich unfassbar selten und damals in Warzone 1 war der auch stärker, als er heutzutage ist, finde ich.
Grenade Launcher in Warzone 1 was a gun many didn't even know was in the game until weeks after launch. With the staggering 1% drop rate, there was absolutely no other way of getting the grenade launcher other than looting nonstop.
Okay, warte, ist jetzt 1% das am wenigsten seltene, was wir in diesem Video sehen werden? Also wird jetzt alles unter 1% sein? Okay.
What I liked about this gun being so rare was that it was actually pretty dang good and
ja, hundertprozentig. Die war echt gut. Heutzutage ist die nicht mehr so gut, aber damals war die richtig krass. Ich schwöre, immer mit dem Heli. Es war so dumm. Nice, Alter.
Launcher was brought back into Warzone 2 and saw a similar fate where you could only get it off ground loot, and it was also pretty good. However, with the release of Modern Warfare 3, they added a grenade launcher to multiplayer that you could also equip to your loadout in Warzone 3, and it is honestly one of the worst guns in the game.
Okay, oh mein Gott, ich dachte nämlich, das bin nur ich, der so empfindet. Dieser Grenade Launcher, den wir jetzt in Warzone 3 haben, ist wirklich das Schlechteste, was du spielen kannst. Auf gar keinen Fall den Grenade Launcher spielen. Egal wie selten dieses Item ist, auf gar keinen Fall aufheben. Ich kann mich nicht daran erinnern, wann ich das Teil das letzte Mal aufgehoben habe. Wirklich nicht. Verständlicherweise.
I'm not saying they need to buff it, but they need to just bring back the Warzone 1 grenade launcher and keep it the same way, where you can only find it in ground loot.
Access Cards. Oh, das war für Bunker, oder?
This was another item that completely shifted all motives for the match you were currently in. There were several bunkers.
Das stimmt, das hat er gut gesagt. Jedes einzelne Mal, wenn man für die Leute, die damals Warzone 1 nicht gespielt haben, es gab so Bunkerkarten, mit denen hast du Bunker wie diesen hier aufmachen können und ihr wird jetzt gleich zeigen, was da für ein Loot drin ist. Es waren so viele rote Kisten drin, das ist wirklich gottlos gewesen. Aber jedes Mal, wenn du die gefunden hast, das war komplett random, war plötzlich dein ganzer Fokus nur auf diesem Bunker. Du wolltest unbedingt diesen Bunker öffnen, ab dem Moment, wo du eine Keycard hattest. Ganz, ganz dringend. Das hat aber Ewigkeiten gedauert, bis die Bunker aufgemacht wurden. Ah ja, fix. Das war nicht markiert. Safe, das war nicht markiert auf der Karte. Du hast selbst herausfinden, müssen, wo diese Bunker sind. Aber jeder hat im Hintergrund immer so eine Karte offen. Ich hatte auch eine Karte offen. Ich bin ganz ehrlich. Ich hatte immer diese Karte offen. Und wenn dann jemand aus meinem Team eine Bunkerkarte hatte, haben wir direkt herausfinden können, wo genau wir hin müssen. Schaut euch das an. Schaut euch das an, dieser Bunker, Junge. Bruder. Minigun?
Another gun that you didn't find every day while playing Warzone was the minigun. This gun was first added to the game during the Bunker 11 Easter egg and was also featured in my Forgotten Guns video because of how rare it was. If you've already watched my Forgotten Guns video, I'm about to repeat myself a little bit. And if you haven't watched it, maybe watch it after this one.
Ist ein sehr gutes Video, da habe ich auch schon die Reactions hochgeladen. Schau euch das gerne an. 100%, ich habe das nicht gemacht. Ich habe das nicht gemacht, weil es schrecklich war. Da gab es so ein Easter Egg, mit dem man die Minigun und auch wieder ganz viel Loot bekommen konnte. Ich habe es nicht gemacht, weil ich mir ein Video dazu angeschaut habe, was man für Steps da durchgehen muss und wie viele wie viele Sachen man gleichzeitig machen muss, na, da war ich raus. Also das ist mir zu viel. Das kriege ich nicht hin. Das kriegt mein kleines Hirn nicht hin. Die war aber auch gut damals, die Minigun. Die war crazy. Oh, das ist so ein guter Modus. Junge! Wie OP ist das?
As well. Keep in mind, now when you got a bunker, you just have a chance of getting the minigun, not even guarantee it. Later on Rebirth, there is a separate bunker Easter egg that required you to go to prison and interact with the phones to get a code that you had to manually enter that code in to unlock the bunker, which then had the minigun as well. Also a pretty tedious task in my opinion.
Schrecklich.
8-1.
Okay.
1.
2. Then on Fortune's Keep, we had the Black Market Supply Run contract. This unlocked the Black Market buy station that had a ton of exclusive loot you could buy from it that you couldn't get any other way. One of which was a Nebula round fed minigun, and this thing was wild. Then in Warzone 2, you have the Black Sites, which we all know goes something along the lines of clear stronghold, get key, go to Black Site, clear.
Ja, okay, ich würde aber sagen, wenn der Black Site jetzt inkludiert, würde ich jetzt nicht sagen, dass das ein Rare-Item ist. Weil du das halt einmal pro Runde fix bekommen kannst, würde ich dann nicht sagen, dass es so rare ist. Also man hat halt, als guter Spieler hat man auf jeden Fall jede zweite Runde bestimmt eine Black Site gemacht, wenn nicht sogar jede Runde. Also so selten war das nicht.
However, in Warzone 3, strongholds are now a random in-game event, which doesn't happen as often, which makes it even more rare today. As far as for the gun itself, in Warzone 1, I thought it was really good and a lot of fun to use. Kind of like the grenade launcher.
Safety war echt gut in Warzone 1. Aber heutzutage ist es nicht. Heutzutage ist es nicht mehr der Shit, ja, ich bin ehrlich.
Warzone 3, it feels off to me. I mentioned in the previous video that I think the game is played much more differently, mainly focusing on like movement and mobility. And when you have the minigun, those two things just go completely out the window. But it's a fun gun to use and it's kind of exciting when you get.
Bro, die war ja richtig krass damals. Wie schnell ist sie gestorben? Die Spezi-Bonus ist wirklich eins der Sachen, von denen ich heutzutage noch träume. Ich brauche das jetzt gerade, brauche ich das ganz dringend auf Rebirth Island. Es wurde uns ja schon geteasert, dass der Spezi-Bonus zurückkommen soll zu Rebirth Island. Wo ist er denn? Kommt er erst mit dem Mid-Season-Update oder was? Ich brauche ihn jetzt. Spezi-Bonus so schön gewesen. Der war krass.
Through this subway Easter egg, which I had absolutely no idea about. When I made my Forgotten Features video, I mentioned Specialist being first introduced with the 80s Action Hero event, but I was completely wrong about that. It was really available a whole half year prior to the event within this Easter egg. After doing some crazy decrypting of numbers, paintings, codes, computers, and whatever else, you get access to the subway underneath for Dansk. And then it would take you to this secret room, which was pretty much a bunker on steroids.
Ja, krasser Raum.
Multiple miniguns,
kann mich auch noch erinnern auf den. Das war geil.
Advanced UAVs, but what we're really here for is the specialist bonus. Like I said, I didn't even know about this until someone in my comments pointed it out as the first time specialist added to the game.
Alter, war das geil.
We all know what specialist did, giving every person,
wo man den Spezi-Bonus auch noch gedroppt hat, wenn man damit gestorben ist. Und dann halt auch, wenn ein Gegner den Spezi-Bonus dabei hat und du hast ihn gekillt, hat er den einfach gedroppt. Das war wunderschön. Das war perfekt, Alter. Und für die Leute, die nicht wissen, was Spezi-Bonus ist, du bekommst automatisch, nur wenn du diesen Spezi-Bonus aufhebst, wirklich alle Perks, die es in Warzone gibt. Alle Perks. Nicht nur die 4, die du normal auswählen kannst, sondern wirklich alle. Das war krank. Du warst wirklich komplett OP, das war crazy.
Really wasn't all that easy because every person in the lobby was going for it as well. This was when it was more so kind of like in the public eye where people were like making videos, oh, how to get specialist bonus in Warzone or whatever. Aside from LTMs and miscellaneous ways to get it, I think the most common way was on Rebirth Island through the shower, where you got like a key card that would open up the vault in the stronghold. This was also probably like the easiest way to get it, I think. For a period of time, I think you could buy it at a buy station.
Ja,
I
don't
remember this. I don't know if it was an LTM or if it was just like a feature they had in the game for a little bit. I know it wasn't around like later on in the game. Nowadays, we don't have specialists and haven't had specialists since Warzone 1, but we're supposed to get it back in Season 3 Reloaded of Warzone 3, so I'm excited to see how you get it when it comes out.
Wirklich Season Update, okay, nice.
Making it easy to get is just no fun.
Nuke
Since
Elements.
we're not allowing non-tangible items on this list, I'm not going to include the nuke contract itself, but I'll go ahead and include the nuke elements. Reminder, to get a nuke in Warzone 2, you had to win 5 games in a row to get a shot at it,
ja, das ist ein fairer Call tatsächlich.
But like the Bunker 11 Easter egg, I'm going to go on a limb here and say the overwhelming majority of players have yet to successfully complete the nuke contract, let alone get the contract in the first place. However, to be in a lobby with someone going for the nuke, but then to encounter them, kill them, and see the elements in front of you is going to be pretty rare as well. In my whole career career playing Warzone 2, I only encountered 2 teams going for the nuke and both were cheating. So if you really want
Ja, 100%, ich wollte es auch nämlich gerade sagen. Ich habe zweimal gegen Nuke-Leute gespielt. Einmal war das ein französisches Pro-Team, die haben wir dann aber rausgeschossen, ganz wichtig, die haben die ganze Runde gehuntet. Und das andere Mal war ein komplettes Cheater-Team. Alle 4 von denen haben komplett reingecheatet.
Safe. However, towards the end of Warzone 2 for like a week or two, BR Quads had like a community nuke that any team could go for. So that's where I personally first wielded the elements on my own. Sadly, I wasn't able to complete the nuke. Nowadays, it's a little more common, especially with the Rebirth nuke. Although you can still win 5 games in a row, which is insanely difficult, having the option of just 30 wins in a season is much more obtainable, especially with Rebirth, where Resurgence wins are just like way more common. And if you've been playing Rebirth a lot since launch, you've probably been in a lobby where someone's gone for the nuke, and since the map is small and less players, you might have even seen the elements by now.
White Loot Boxes. Oh, wow, waren die geil. Die waren, ich weiß nicht, wer von euch sich noch an die roten Lootboxen erinnern kann aus Warzone 1, aber die waren geil damals. Heutzutage die roten Lootboxen, du hast Glück, wenn da Geld drinnen ist. Du hast wirklich Glück. Damals waren immer mindestens 3.000, 4.000 Dollar in diesen roten Kisten drin, aber heutzutage gar nicht mehr. Diese weißen Kisten sind, was die roten Kisten damals waren. Und es ist wunderschön. Es ist wunderschön. Variant, which is the rarest crate you can find in the game. They mainly spawn at strongholds and black sites, which not only have gold loot, but more importantly, just drop an insane amount of money. Like way more money than any box could ever. Es ist so schön. Und so viele Killstreaks immer. Loadout Drop Marker. Oh, true.
I had a really hard time confirming when these were added to the game, but it's looking like the introduction of Ashika Island is when you could start finding loadout drop markers through ground loot. While I was trying to find footage of loadout drop markers in ground loot, I found a lot of inconsistencies. Like I found some people finding them in bunkers, which I didn't know was possible. Also, there's this footage of someone finding some on Caldera, so I don't really know when it was first implemented in the game, but it seems very, very inconsistent. I wish I could find an exact drop rate for these.
Ich muss ehrlich zugeben, ich glaube, die gab es schon immer. Also ich glaube, die gab es nie nicht, muss ich zugeben. Also die hast du immer aus Kisten gefunden, aber die Rate, dass du die gefunden hast, war so unfassbar gering, dass es so giga unwahrscheinlich war, ist es noch heutzutage. Ja, das wollte ich auch noch gerade sagen. Manchmal findest du das wirklich für eine Woche oder 2 findest du keinen Loadout-Marker und dann habe ich tatsächlich vorletzte Woche on-stream, dritter Link in der Videobeschreibung, schaut da gerne auf Twitch vorbei, da bin ich auch jetzt gerade, wenn das Video live geht, bin ich live. Da haben wir das als Team 3 Loadout-Marker in einer Runde gefunden, was auch gar keinen Sinn ergeben hat. Deswegen entweder du findest es Ewigkeiten gar nicht oder viel zu viel.
Pretty self-explanatory. It's just a loadout that you don't have to buy and it's immediately equipped to your field upgrade slot. Pretty sure now they're available on all maps, just with an extremely rare chance of being found. I know they were way more common on Fortune's Keep for a while since we had the looting spree power-up, which pretty much just increased the rarity of loot the more you looted while it was active, so that was kind of fun. Once you got that power-up, you would just start spamming every box you saw. There's other ways to get it, like I'm pretty sure black sites give it to you in Warzone 3. Then I think if you get the key card on Rebirth Island and bring it to the stronghold, that also gets you a load-up drop marker. Kind of like little things like that guarantee it, but still really rare. But this is another item that I think should stay rare because of how powerful it is.
Ja, 100%, ist viel zu OP. Dead Silence, oh mein Gott.
Dead Silence has been around since Warzone's launch, but for some reason in Warzone 3 it feels like you never find it anymore. I swear for a minute it wasn't even in the
Oh mein Gott, guter Call. Gibt's Dead Silence noch? Also ich glaube, es sollte es noch geben, aber man findet es nicht mehr. Guter Call. Naja, Dead Silence war komplett dumm. Bruder, was sind das für Videoeinstellungen hier gerade? Warum ist das alles so ausgebleicht? Schrecklich, Alter, was ist das? Die Wunderwaffe.
With Warzone 3, we don't really have a whole lot of items that are all that rare. Then came Fortune's Keep in Season 2, where we not only got the ray gun, but the Wonderwaff as well.
Das stimmt.
The ray gun is decently rare,
komplett S-Beise gewesen.
If you really want to. Maybe not right at the launch of Fortune's Keep on Warzone 3, since everyone was going for it, but nowadays it's pretty easy to get. You jump on the crates, flip the switches, and ta-da, you've got the ray gun room unlocked.
Okay.
But the gun that's much more rare, I would say, is the Wonderwaff. The way you got this was during the game, there would be an event that would be something like deal the most damage, or have the most money, or loot the most crates, or or have the most kills.
Dadurch
Teams in the
bekommt man
top
das.
3 of this category after the time was up got access to a secret weapons crate. This crate would either have a ray gun or a Wunderwaffe, which further supports the no guarantee for the Wunderwaffe. Being in the top 3 was one thing, then getting to the weapons crate with 2 other teams going for it was another. Then it's essentially an RNG coin flip if the Wunderwaffe.
Aber ich glaube, die war komplett kacke, oder?
There are a few other methods of getting the Wunderwaffe, such as the Cursed Relic. Once you grab the Cursed Relic, you have to get 5 kills without dying, which doesn't really sound that hard, but since you have to get 5 kills without dying after finding the relic, which mind you, there's only one of in the entire map, not exactly a cakewalk. Then there's also the zombie contract where you have to just go eradicate zombies from a specific area. Honestly, this one's pretty easy, but it doesn't even guarantee the Wunderwaffe. A lot of times it's just like a gold gun. Half the time it's not even a wonder weapon. So also pretty dang rare. In my opinion, the Wunderwaffe is like really bad. Half the time,
oh mein Gott, ist die Kacke.
Shots are hitting, and then I think no matter what,
ist ja richtig Müll.
Shots to down someone.
Oh mein Gott, die ist richtig Müll.
I could be wrong. I don't really use it that much because of how bad it is. It's fun to have and kind of cool, but definitely not all that good. The ray gun, on the other hand, was awesome and dealt crazy splash.
Na, ich fand die Ray Gun richtig kacke irgendwie.
After the Season 3 Reloaded update, they added the research vessel, which had a special buy station on it, allows you to buy one of the.
Oh, mit dem Research Vessel, mit diesem Boot hat man die auch einfach kaufen können für 10k. Okay, das ist cool. Das ist sehr, sehr cool.
Each match it's random as to which one you can buy, but definitely makes the Wunderwaffe much more easy to obtain now.
PDS.
This is another item that I'm basing solely off of anecdotal evidence. This was also brought back with Season 2, and I almost thought the PDS was bugged to not be in the game at launch. Turns out it's.
Ich muss aber auch ehrlich zugeben, ich glaube, es kommt einem nur so vor, als gäbe es das PDS so selten. Das PDS, für die Leute, die es nicht wissen, das ist der Luftstaubsauger, nenne ich ihn gerne. Das ist dieser Staubsauger, der, wenn du im Gas bist und auf den Boden setzt, hast du dann wie so eine Kuppel um dich herum und kannst halt einfach atmen und regenerieren und überleben, essentially. Und gefühlt gibt es den gar nicht mehr. Ich glaube aber auch, das liegt einfach daran, dass Leute, oder ich zumindest hundertprozentig, wenn ich ein Trophy-System auf dem Boden finde, hebe ich es nicht auf. Und dieses PDS sieht aus wie ein Trophy-System. Ich glaube, deswegen glauben viele Leute, dass es das gar nicht mehr gibt. Weil halt keiner hebt einen Trophy auf. Wer hebt denn heutzutage noch einen Trophy auf? Das ist so mäßig.
This is probably the most common item on this list, but it's very possible you go several games without even seeing one. It felt like Warzone 1's PDS was much more common and that every team had at least one player with one in the end game. However,
Warzone 1 PDS gab es so oft, das stimmt wohl.
If these were abundant in Warzone now, since you can stow them and whatnot in your inventory, it would make for an almost infinite gas play if abused properly. So I like that they're rare.
Boring Keycard.
We got the biometric scanner, and this
verstehe ich auch gar nicht, warum gibt's das?
You put your thumb up to it and it gives you a random keycard from bronze to Orion. Now, obviously Orion is the rarest, but I've still yet to see a single person get this Orion keycard. I've scourged the internet for any footage of someone getting it, and I simply cannot find any. And it's not like it's just some rumored thing. Raven has confirmed this in the patch notes to exist, so I guess they just weren't kidding about it being extremely rare. Anyways, the next rarest is a polyatomic keycard, which I still haven't even gotten myself. Others seem to have a lot better luck. There's plenty of footage of people getting this. I've even played with people getting it live. As far as what they give, I'll go ahead and read each tier off. So bronze is random ammunition, a little bit of cash, armor plates, lethals, and tacticals. Silver is the same thing, but you also get a perk package and a little bit more cash. Gold is the same thing, but you also get a plate carrier, a field upgrade, and even more cash. Platinum is the same thing, but you also get a kill streak and even more cash. Polyatomic is the same thing, but you get to buy 3 things at the buy station for free and a redacted gun. And Orion is the same.
Die Waffe, die du bekommst bei Poly, das ist sogar eine Waffe, die 8 Aufsätze drauf hat. 8 Aufsätze statt 5. What the fuck? Aber dann ist meistens eine komplette Shitwaffe. Aber 8 Aufsätze ist trotzdem krass. Jetzt sagt es auch, okay. 8 Aufsätze ist krass, Alter.
This is probably the most RNG-dependent aspect we've ever seen in Warzone, and it's honestly really fun. Considering you can only do it 1 time per player per game, I think it's a nice little boost to your game, no matter how big or small. I've read something along the lines of the more time you play and the more times you've tried the biometric scanner, the more likely you are to get better loot. Maybe just with time, we'll finally get someone to get the Orion keycard, because right now truly I don't think a single person has. As far as
interesting, dass es das nicht gibt. Also dass das gibt, aber dass es noch niemand bekommen hat, Orion.
I've used the redacted Ram 7 and it's honestly pretty trash. Funny thing is, I didn't even get it myself. I got it off of someone's
trash.
Perk package, cash, and other loot you get from the keycards are way better than the redacted guns. But those are the rarest items in Warzone history. If you made it this far to the video, you must have liked it at least.
Genauso hier aber auch. Gerne noch ein Like da lassen und ein Abo, falls euch die Reaction gefallen hat. Ich hoffe, euch hat das Video generell gefallen. Ich werde es natürlich wie immer in der Infobox verlinken. Und wir sehen uns auf jeden Fall im nächsten Video oder im Livestream. Haut rein. Tschüssi, tschüssi.